We're going to head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about how this fan wants to see the Browns offense work.
Dave, after watching the second half of the Ohio State-Notre Dame game, I hope the Browns offense looks familiar to the Buckeyes' attached to the game plan, and for the first 11 games, rely heavy on the effort of our running backs to carry us with their great effort, and have the consistent play at the quarterback position to do what it takes to keep moving the chains, which will hopefully end with long drives resulting in with a touchdown or a field goal on a consistent basis. Now for the Browns defense. I'm hoping the pressure is amped up to where many turnovers occur, a lot of 3 plays and punt back to the offense. On special teams, I believe we'll have to rely on the leg of K. York in both making the majority of field goals and extra points, as well as kickoffs long enough not to be returned. If all this can be accomplished, we'll be in good shape for the return of Deshaun Watson, and hopefully he can finish things up headed to the playoffs.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Let's welcome in Ashley Bastock. She is Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. What about it, Ashley? Is that the recipe you think Kevin Stefanski is cooking up for a win with Jacoby Brissett as the quarterback?
Well, those are certainly some of the key ingredients, I think, as we're getting our preview content ready. I'll start with the defense because that's actually one of the big stories that I'm writing for our preview content right now is the fact that this defense has to really control takeaways. And that's something they didn't do very well last year. They were in the middle of the pack in the league in regards to those numbers. And I know multiple guys last season, Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett, kind of talked about how those takeaways are contagious, right? Like they kind of tend to stack on top of each other. And I think it's just going to be really key, number one, to obviously stop opposing teams from scoring, but to give Jacoby Brissett and this offense more chances. And yes, I definitely think on offense, the running backs, very important, but I'd also add the offensive line to that. I think this is maybe the best offensive line Jacoby Brissett has played with in his career, so that bodes really well. And a lot of these pieces are just going to have to be clicking on all cylinders while Deshaun Watson is out if the Browns are going to go above 500 during those first 11 games.
Yeah, and an underrated part of that is the kicking game. Cade York and don't forget punter too. You're going to want to play field position. You don't want to put the defense in a bad spot where you're going to have to play from behind. That is what the Browns want to avoid.
Yeah, and Corey Bojorquez, I think, is a guy who I was really interested to talk to after that second preseason game. I grabbed him one-on-one just because, that position battle, I think, was such an underrated position battle for all of camp between him and Joe Charlton, and they obviously ended up going with Corey. He has more experience. He's been with the Packers, with the Bills. So overall, I think he's a guy to keep an eye on. And I'll also add Demetric Felton into that. They just released their first unofficial depth chart, and he's the only return man listed on that depth chart. We've talked so much about how important Jakeem Grant Sr. was going to be to this team. And of course, he's out with a season-ending injury now. So all of those things, the special teams aspect of things, I think, is going to be very, very important. Mike Prefer is going to have a lot on his shoulders because, like you said, Dave, field position is going to be so, so, so important without Deshaun Watson.